Well, on tonight's episode of the Purple Tie Radio Show, we talk why you should think before you speak, food truck tech edition, and why aren't I wearing shoes? That's all ahead on the Purple Tie Radio Show. Good evening and welcome to the Purple Tie Radio Show. I'm your host, Robert Martin, business therapist and entrepreneur.
And I'm your co-host, Blake Singleton, the tech guy.
I have no shoes on because it's hot.
It is. It's hot as lots of stuff right here.
Man. Oh, and they say that next week is going to be like, I don't even want to think about it. I don't know how construction workers do it. I'd flat pass off and fall off the roof that wouldn't.
Pass
there.
off. You'll pass off and fall out the roof. Folks, stay tuned. We're going to have the 10-day forecast in just a minute.
Hey, I'm going to fall through the basement. That's what I'm doing. I'll fall up the basement. Oh, my God. We just ruined the first part of it.
I think this is the best start. What do you guys think? This is the best start we've ever had to a radio show, isn't it?
It's definitely the funniest start we've ever had. So my seminar was this past week, and all I can say is thank God it's over.
It was you. Let's clarify. You orchestrated,
I orchestrated
a seminar, an event called Standout.
I did. And
it was positive reviews, right? Well, except for a couple little things, it was positive reviews.
There was a couple little things. I was told
there was nothing wrong with your portion.
There was nothing wrong with my portion of the seminar, other than I looked over the workbook that I'd handed out with it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why I looked over that. And
you overlooked it.
Yeah, I overlooked it.
You didn't look over it. You overlooked it. Those are two different
I'm having
things.
some issues tonight.
I looked over the workbook and it was good.
I
set it to the side.
So the reason I was speeding is because the horse.
It got in front of the cart.
Anyway, God.
The cart before the horse. God, we're both just terrible tonight, aren't we? All right, so why did you overlook the workbook?
Oh, man, I'm going to just babble. So I had told my story 1,001 times to individuals. You know, this is how I started. I started my first business when I was 12. I worked in a bike shop, and my idea of success was chicken fingers and a milkshake. And what happened was, I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
I'm a big guy.
Yeah, you are.
So the fact that I was like, my idea of success was chicken fingers and a milkshake, and you could hear a couple of people in the audience snicker. Like, yeah, I bet it was.
That's rude.
It's rude. And I was like, because it was my mom's favorite meal.
That's not what you said, though, because I was at this conference. You said, because my mother, who was terminally ill with lung cancer, loved this meal.
And it allowed me the opportunity to buy it for her a couple of times a month. Pay for it, take her out, the whole 9 yards. And this snicker went to an, oh God, what did I just do?
Yeah.
And
well, they need to. It's not good to assume things just because somebody looks a specific way.
Well, no, it's not. And now to give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, they didn't really know where I was going with that story.
Yeah, but they thought they did, and that's just as bad.
It really is. So, I told my story, and then I said something in the seminar that really seemed to resonate with a lot of the business people there.
Okay.
And
what was it?
What I said was, I see too many people today hiring based on paper and paper lies. And it was just amazing to me to see so many. Okay,
yeah,
I get that.
Yeah,
and when I explained
a little bit. Yeah.
So basically, just because you have a piece of paper that says that you are certified to do something or you are educated in some field doesn't mean you're a great person. It doesn't mean that you're right for the job. Do you fit in the environment? Do you fit with the other people?
We've talked about that before.
You know, and we have. We talked about that on the radio show a little bit. But, you know, just because a piece of paper says you can do it doesn't always mean you can do it.
Well, it means that you can do the job.
Your
It
brain
doesn't-
knows how to do it.
It means you can do the job. It doesn't mean you can work there.
Right. So let's talk. And I really don't want to beat this horse to death because I don't really think it needs to be. But thinking before you speak, we've all heard it. And you can't really tell your faux pas.
Faux pas.
Is it faux pas? Faux pas?
No.
We're in the South. That's just like the niche market. I was like, we in a niche market because we in the South.
I'll tell you what, I can do this. I did not think before I spoke earlier this week. I greatly upset someone that means a lot to me, and I did not mean to. It was frustration directed
You were having
at her.
a bad day.
It was I was frustrated, and it was not their fault, and I took it out on them, and it was. If I played back the conversation in my head, the way it ended, I would have never thought I would have said those things.
But you did because you didn't think before
I didn't.
you
I did not. And I'm bad about that. I'm bad about saying the first thing that comes to my head rather than
We've actually
processing
had
it.
talks about that.
You say it's because I'm from North Carolina.
You're a Yankee.
I'm not a Yankee. How many times are we going to have this conversation?
We just pissed off everyone from like Kentucky North.
The Mason-Dixon line was 2 states north of me.
Oh man, you know you would make it. You know, I'm going to be in trouble because Renee's actually from New York, so if she's listening to this,
Renee, we love you.
We
Direct
love
all
you.
hate mail to Robert at the Purple Tie Co. on Twitter.
You can hate me, but you remind me of that obnoxious New Yorker. That obnoxious taxi cab driving New Yorker that's like, hey, where you want to go? Come on, time is money.
He's just trying to do his
Talk
job.
to me. Time is money, kid. I mean, it just, you know, and I'm bad about it when I get angry. You know, just saying the first thing that pops to mind. And it is sometimes the most hateful thing.
Yeah.
And the most hurtful thing that could possibly come out of my mouth. And during the seminar, I know we were jumping subjects, but I'm going to jump back a little bit. I found myself, after I said something, I wished I had.
What was that sound?
That was the sound.
You guys, that was an alien coming out of his chest.
I am possessed. It's the Chinese talking, man. It's that new place we're going to. Woo.
All right. So anyway, during the
conference,
seminar,
during the seminar, whew, man, during the conference seminar, I found myself having to slow down and really think about the way I was about to deliver a particular sentence because of the way it sounded.
yeah. Well,
And it made me think about the things that I say. Even when I'm angry, I just let things flow. I don't think about them. And here's my thing. I think if I think about them, I can make them more hurtful.
well, probably. I mean, I guess that's true about anything. But then again, if you think about it, you may filter yourself inadvertently.
That's why you
So-
think about it. See, I thought you thought about it to make it more hateful.
No.
Or
If
hurtful.
If I'd thought about what I was saying, I would have realized the impact it would have had before I said it, and it would have never come out of my mouth. But I was concerned about my vehicle's been having trouble for a couple days now.
Listen, if y'all are ever in the market for a new vehicle, do not, under any circumstances,
now, hang
purchase
on.
a Nissan Cube. They call it a cube for a reason.
What's that reason?
Because it belongs on ice because it's a skate. That and it's a piece of junk. It's a cube because
Okay,
they ought to
anyway.
run it through the crusher and make a little cube out of it.
Anyway,
I hate that truck.
I had been having issues.
Can you
with
call
my
that a
vehicle.
truck?
It's a vehicle.
That's a grainy mobile.
It's
Old
you're
lady-
being a real difficult person to be on the radio with right now.
It's a grainy scooter.
But I've been having issues with it all
hey, they
day.
keep them at Walmart for the old people.
So yeah.
Yeah.
You were having some real problems with that. Anyway, the problems that I was having with the car just were weighing on me real heavy, and it all came down in one. Have you ever had that moment where you realize that something, like everything collapses on that one moment? Everything. You've got the frustration and the stress of the previous week. You've got this new thing that's happening, and it all just collapses in on this one moment, and it all comes out, and it all came out wrong.
Yeah, I think you were stressed out about the seminar, and
Even though it was over, I still had that stress built up in my
there
system.
was a lot. It was very stressful. I will admit that, we had hired a company to help us with this seminar. They were supposed to be professional booking agents and all this other stuff.
They were garbage is what they were.
And they
now
walked
they won't
in-
even return any of our phone calls.
No, and they walked in 3 weeks before the seminar was supposed to go on, slid the notebook across the counter and said, "Sorry guys, can't help you with this."
Yeah, it was.
And had no one booked. We booked an entire show in 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was a good show.
It was. It was a great show.
It was a great show. So,
Just shout out to the Starbucks in Decatur, Alabama,
oh man,
for coming
Yes.
through in the clutch, man.
They donated door prizes. They
donated door
coffee.
prizes and coffee, cream, cups, stirs.
Man, they were amazing.
They probably donated $100 worth of
if we'd had to buy it, yeah.
worth of stuff.
I mean, huge shout out. We love you guys so much. Thank y'all for supporting us.
And if you're listening, I have found, you know who you are. I have found a baby goat for you.
Yes, we have.
And I found 2 of them because I know you want them in pairs.
So let's talk for a minute. Since we talked about knowing when not to say things, let's talk about the seminar again for just a second. Jacob, the highly unpaid intern.
I'm going to make a soundbite for him. Jacob, the highly unpaid intern.
Jacob, you're going to have your own jingle.
Yes.
So anyway, he'll walk around just playing it. I'm walking. So
Yes, indeed, I'm walking.
anyway, he brought up the idea of doing a round table where it's a, you sit at the conference table and it's more of a casual discussion type seminar.
Right.
And then I brought that up to a friend of mine and he said, well, why not combine the two? You stand up for about 15 minutes and, give your backstory so that they know where you're coming from, and then have a seat and sit down and talk the rest of the way through the conversations. And yes, that was my iPad. Apparently I get email. So anyway, and talk the rest of the time, one-on-one, make it an intimate thing. I was like, that's a great idea. But that leads me to the mastermind that I was talking about doing. That's basically what it is. It's a group of like-minded people with a common goal.
Well,
which is kind of what the round table would be, but
yes,
not really. It's kind of a...
It's different.
It's a gray area.
The mastermind would be a monthly meeting. Either either over the telephone or on Skype or in real, in IRL as the kids call it.
IRL.
Or
Hey, for you old folks out there, that's in real
in
life.
real life, that's right. Like sitting across the table from one another. It's gross, I know. You don't have a computer screen between you, but it's good. But the mastermind group would happen in regular intervals, once a month, twice a month, once a quarter, whatever. The round table would happen whenever you decided to put them on, right?
Yes. Yeah, it would be kind of like the seminar. You would schedule it and people would...
Do you pay to be in the mastermind group?
Yes, absolutely.
So...
Well, here's the thing. In a mastermind group, you pay to be in the mastermind group, and you always have one person in that group, but the money makes you committed.
I get that. I do.
I mean, and that's why you
Skin
charge.
in the game, that's that kind of thing.
Right. Skin in the game is a big thing for me. If you know anything about me, I don't do anything for free because free has absolutely no value.
That's true. But I did hear you say on more than one occasion, if you could have done the seminar for free, if you could have just invited everyone you knew
Oh, I would.
that needed to go to this,
I would.
you would have given it away for free. But
I would.
you would have committed to 300 people and maybe a third of that would have showed
Well,
up.
my thing is, what people don't understand is it takes money to put on these seminars. I mean, this seminar cost me about
Money.
$500.
And
you
it was
know,
not a large seminar. I'm
it
not
was-
even going to
it was
lie and say
small.
it was a big seminar. It was
I mean, we maxed out at 30 people. That
Yeah.
was our max number. And I had before we moved to the venue to the Chamber of Commerce, thank you, the Decatur Morgan County Chamber of Commerce. I was up to almost $1,000.
That's insane. That's so much money.
It is a lot of money to do this. So it amazes me. And people think it happens. It just happens. It's just something that just happens. You show up and this is, magically put on. No, there were things down to, I am an attention to detail kind of person.
Right.
We had buttermints there that were in purple wrappers for the purple tie. Mm-hmm. That didn't just happen.
Nope, they didn't just magically appear on the table.
And
It wasn't a coincidence that the wrappers were purple.
no, and it had somebody had to go to Starbucks and pick up the coffee, and we had to go set the table up, and then we had to set all the refreshments up and the donuts up and the coffee up and all these other things, and people just assume that just happens.
Yeah, but no, it's just like every party you've ever been to. That party did not just spontaneously happen. There was planning and purchasing that went into that.
I'm going to take that's the only thing we're going to say about the seminar, but I would like some feedback as far as seminar or roundtable. What would you guys rather attend? Would you rather attend something where someone stands up and talks to you for an hour, or something that engages you for an hour?
Or alternative to that, would you rather go to a conference where there's multiple of these events happening that you can choose? And would you be more likely to visit someone at a conference
That you wouldn't visit
in
at
a
a
singular seminar?
Right.
Yeah.
So, disturbing video of the week. I think we should do these weekly. Disturbing videos of the week. So, and then we'll get on to our main topic, which is technology food trucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't wait to talk about technology food trucks, by the way.
It's good. It's a cool idea. It's really a cool idea. So the disturbing video of the week is this lady on one of those motorized scooters in the middle of Walmart, right?
Okay.
And she looked like she was fairly healthy. She did not need to be riding a scooter. So I thought, hey, she got a broke leg or something.
Yeah.
Well, apparently
Where's she going with this?
Well, she passed this other woman in the middle of Walmart, and this other woman says something to her, and she straight up jumps off the scooter and is like, "You want to go?"
Oh, I
And
saw
they start
this.
fighting in the middle of the Walmart aisle. Well, how do you handle that?
The woman had a
Are you
kid
allowed
with
to
her.
beat them?
The woman in the scooter had a kid with her.
Yeah, and she
And
was
he
like,
started beating on the other chick
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, and there's somebody. Okay, so somebody was like, don't kick her," talking to the kid, and there's some other adult in the background going, "No, protect your mama." And I'm thinking, this whole thing is out of control.
Yeah.
So as a business owner, how do you handle? I mean,
Personally-
obviously you call the police.
Personally, I probably would have made a bad decision and tried to break it up.
I would have probably beat one of them with a fire extinguisher. I'm not even lying. I'd have just been like, I'm done with this.
Right
done.
over the back of the head.
I mean, they broke like every shampoo bottle.
I know.
was
I saw
crazy.
this video. I didn't think it was real. I thought it was one of those staged reality type deals.
No, it was straight up real.
It was real. And the level of anger coming out of these women over shampoo sale or whatever the heck was going on.
I don't know. One of them said something awful to the other.
I didn't hear it.
One of them said the B word, and the other one jumped off the scooter, and it was on. But you got to think though, as a business owner, how do you handle? Because in our business, okay, I'm gonna throw that out there. In our business, we do have a diverse group of people that come in to have cell phones repaired.
Right.
We have everything from senators' wives to someone who is making it paycheck to paycheck that may not have the best circumstances.
Right.
And you've got that huge gap. And what, first of all, I don't understand what makes people think that that's okay. But as a business owner, what do you do when that breaks out in the center of your store?
You break out the brooms and you just start swatting at them, right?
You just jab at them like a broken record
No, I mean,
player.
I guess you'd have to call the cops, but do you get involved? I mean, they're destroying merchandise.
Well, I mean, they're destroying property. They're running off other people. Ain't nobody coming in your store while they're fighting.
No.
I'm
Or
not
maybe they are, but they're not going to buy anything.
Yeah, I'm not there to buy nothing. It's like, hey, I'm not here to fix my phone. I'm here to watch this.
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome.
Well, no, let me tell you how I did handle it, because it has happened in the store one time. There were two guys up front. They apparently knew each other, and it seemed like one of them had bought something from the other one secondhand. And
I remember this.
and it didn't work, or it broke immediately, or something like that. Anyway, we escorted them out. Like, they were yelling and everything.
Yeah, they brought it to us to be like, well, we need to know what's wrong with it because it worked and now it don't work, and he bought it and I'm not giving him his money back, and they started cussing, and
we escorted them out of the building and called the police.
Yeah, I mean,
They didn't come to blows like these women in Walmart.
well, we're not Walmart either, though.
No,
I mean,
no.
it's oh my god, should have went Target. So anyway,
So we could watch them just say bad things about each other. instead of actually
they
beating
yell at each
up.
other over the intercom. So okay, technology, food trucks.
So explain what that is a little bit, so people aren't as confused as it sounds.
They're like, that's a what? Okay, so it's a new. Well, it's not new.
It's not actually a technology food truck.
It's not a technology food truck. Imagine my first computer repair company was called The Mobile Computer Shop, and it was literally The Mobile Computer Shop because it was randed. It was it was runded out of the back of my car, and I literally drove to people's houses and fixed their computers, and that's all I did. I had no storefront, anything else, and I called
Really
it
low
The
overhead.
Mobile Computer Shop. Well, we've taken that concept to this whole new level, and I see it in bigger cities.
Mm-hmm.
We personally have not done it because I don't know how profitable it is and how much money you can put into it and that sort of thing. But in the bigger cities, I've seen people that basically have these food truck looking things
Yeah.
that pull up, and it says, you break, I fix, or I fix phones, or, broken screen. And the concept is you can bring your phone up to the truck and get it repaired.
Right. And you do it while he does it, or they do it while you wait.
Right. They do it. And one of them's called like the iPhone Lounge, I think, or the Phone Lounge.
You were telling me about this,
And
where
it's
they
a
actually
truck
have
where there's like a couch in there, and
couches
you
instead.
sit in there
Yeah.
while they fix your phone, which I think that's a little creepy. I'm not sitting in an old food truck while you fix my phone. But that does lead me to a question. How comfortable would you feel having your phone repaired out of a food truck, basically?
Well, let me ask you this: how comfortable are you eating food out of a food truck?
I've never done it.
Yes, you have.
Wait, I have to when I was in New York, but that's different.
No, I'm not talking about food trucks. I'm talking about anytime you've ever gone to a festival, or you've gone to a carnival or a fair, you've eaten essentially out of a food truck.
Oh my God. You remember that one time? Oh my God. You remember that one time that Fauci house? No. Do you remember the fried Oreos?
I'm trying to forget the fried Oreos to this day, but that's my point. You've eaten out of a food truck, even if you've been to a carnival or a fair or anything like that.
Side tangent.
So it's a tangent to a tangent?
To a tangent. It's a double tangent. It's tangent.
This is
It's a tangent.
Inception
We're going to
tangent.
call it a tangent. So, fried Oreos. Imagine a pancake. Imagine an Oreo inside of a pancake deep fried.
yeah.
There was a guy there with a Fried Daddy, like a 1995, bought it from Walmart Fried Daddy. There's like, hey, you ever had a fried Oreo? And I go, I don't think so. And he goes, it's going to blow your mind. And he fries this thing and he pulls it out and it looks like this little puff ball. And he sprinkles powdered sugar on it. And he's like,
powdered sugar on top of a fried Oreo.
yes. And he hands it to me and he's like, you might want to let that cool a minute. And I'm like, I'm not going to rip into this thing immediately. What do I look like? I'm going to bite this right now and burn myself. And so, if you can imagine a powdered sugar covered pancake with an Oreo in the middle.
The charred remains of the roof of my mouth are well worth the taste that I'm experiencing right now.
So, in all fairness, I've had one good fried Oreo and then one horribly fried Oreo.
Well, I've only had the one, and it was bad. It was bad. But
It was bad.
But we've gone way off topic.
Yeah, but
so
again, how comfortable are you? I mean, this guy was a good old country guy, and I mean, I knew what I was getting into. And I mean, he was nice. So, but would you leave your phone with someone?
Well, here's what you need to think about. You're not leaving your phone with someone. You're going to be waiting. It's going to take 15, 20 minutes tops. Unless you're, somebody who can't stand around for 15 or 20 minutes and has to go do something. You're just going to stand there and wait.
Well,
and if they start to drive off.
wait a minute. Think about this thing. Think about this though. Say this food truck phone thing was busy. So that 15 or 20 minute repair is in line in front of behind 3 or 4 other 15 or 20 minute repairs. It's going to be an hour or so. So
True.
you're going to have to leave the phone. So how comfortable do you feel with your personal data and everything that's on your phone sitting in a food truck?
It's no different than it sitting anywhere else, other than the fact that the
I mean,
store
do
can
you-
drive away.
The store cannot. Wait. I see what you did there.
Yeah, you like
Hey,
that?
that was
No,
great.
look. Here's the thing: if they are a true blue,
You try to drive
service-
away with a brick and mortar store. See what happens.
If they are a true blue service business run out of a truck, they have all of their licenses through the city, all of their permits. So they're a trustworthy, reliable place to get your phone repaired. But that brings up yet another question. How many services run out of vehicles are there? How many have you ever seen? Because
think about it. You've got heating and air people.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Heating and air people, like air conditioning.
It's
a service company.
No. I'm
Oh,
not
you
saying,
mean take it to the truck and leave it?
No. I'm saying there is a truck driving around trying to elicit business out of this vehicle. I can give you an example because cell phones and food trucks are easy. They're small, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Do you see plumbers doing this? Do you see electricians doing
You
this?
can't sell a toilet out of a truck.
But could you?
I mean, I guess you could.
Could you sell appliances to go into your bath?
Mac Tools.
Mac Tools is a great example. They're a mobile product sales truck.
But they're not really servicing anything.
No, but neither are food trucks. That's my point. You bring the business and you put it inside this vehicle. It's not like something that dispatches vehicles. That's different. There is a place that you can go to and talk to people all the time. This is
I thought of one.
what?
Blood buses.
I've got large issues with that. Blood drives and that sort of thing. And we're not going to go into them right now. But let me bring this up to you. I went out to a granite countertop place last week. They had computer issues, right? First time I'd ever been out there, and I struck up a conversation with the manager while I was doing all the service work, and I asked her, we were talking about how difficult it was for her to start her business because, it's a granite place, a granite countertop place out in the middle of nowhere. And I was just curious, how did you get started? And she's telling me her story and everything and telling her how hard it was. And I offhandedly said, at least you don't have to deal with people in their trucks. It's like quick fix, PC repair, just, with the...
That's not a name of a company. Please don't Google that.
But that just have it on the, like, you buy the letters from Walmart, the sticky letters from Walmart, and just stick it on the side of the truck.
Oh, man, I've seen that. We're in Alabama.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
I have seen that. And she said, oh, sure, people do that all the time. I said, you're telling me that people load up huge slabs of granite into the back of their truck and they drive around trying to sell it to people? And she said, yeah, absolutely. She said it was really big about 10 years ago. It's kind of petered off since then, but...
Can you say petered off?
Well, y'all know what I meant. But she said that people would drive around with these trailers that had huge slabs of concrete on it. Not concrete, granite. And, they would go try to get business at Home Depot and Lowe's and, your family, your neighborhood home repair store. And people would go all day long because it was so much cheaper than what they were offering.
See, that's the other thing that you got to worry about is, the price. Do you charge the premium price that you would in a brick and mortar store because people think your overhead is lower? Because it's not.
It's the same repair. Why would I lower the price?
I mean, it's the same repair, but, you got to think there's a company in Ohio or somewhere that's got these food trucks. They look like little food trucks. They go around and fix iPhones.
Yeah.
But they have a brick and mortar store too.
Mm-hmm.
So their overhead's the same. The truck's just
their overhead's actually
supplemental
more.
income.
Their overhead's actually more because they're having to maintain these trucks.
True, you got to pay gas and oil and someone to drive it, and then you got to pay for
technicians.
Which then do you have the technician just drive to the place and where do you find enough people to warrant this? I mean, I saw a ad when I was doing some research for the show. There's literally a guy that's like iPhone repair. God, I can't remember what the name of the company is, but of course I wouldn't plug it anyway because you don't pay money. But it was like, an I come to you type thing. Mm-hmm. And it was a whole truck, like a mobile repair truck.
Well, there was a
How
fleet
would you
of them,
drive?
right? It was like a franchise.
I think it went under. If it didn't, it should because it's a dumb idea. You're going to take one guy, put him in a truck, and you're going to drive to someone's house and repair one phone for $100. Not even $100. I was looking at repair prices online. There's some companies out there that's doing 4Ss now for $40.
Yeah, I saw one
it's
like that.
It's insane. 4Ss take no less than an hour to take apart and put back together, unless you halfway it. I can't really say the other part, but
Now, this one that you're talking about, was it the one that looked like they were driving UPS trucks? Because I saw something like that too.
Yeah, it looked like they were driving an old UPS truck, and then there was
one that had like a
Ryder truck.
I didn't see that one.
Like a big box truck, like a U-Haul truck.
I saw one that looked like a Ford TransConnect, and it was the newer one that had the 4-door, and it had like on one side it had like suicide doors, and then the other side was a slider, and I thought it looked really cool.
Well, and it had the high head.
Yeah, it had the high head, the tall ceilings and stuff like that. But at the same time, it looked cool. How much did that thing cost?
Okay, so let's assume it's
is it cost effective?
$30-something thousand for the vehicle. And that vehicle is not going to last you 5 years.
No, it'll last you. You can probably guarantee 2 years.
Yeah, 2.5. I'm going to top it out at 3. Loan's going to be 5 years on it, roughly.
Right.
Plus, you're going to have another $2,000 or so in a vehicle wrap.
Easily.
I mean, how much money? I mean, you're talking, probably $40,000 in this mobile repair center that you still got to pay.
You've still got to pay labor on for
You
the
gotta pay
person
insurance.
to drive it.
Can you
gotta pay
imagine if
insurance.
that hit somebody? See, that would be my thing. If I plastered into somebody in that,
That's not even the worst part. Yes, you're going to have to deal with insurance and paying for the other person's car. What about all of the damaged repair parts in the back?
oh, the insurance doesn't cover.
It doesn't cover that stuff.
Yeah, and that's another big thing as far as, small businesses go. We try to give you as much good, solid, sound business advice as we can. Check with your insurance company because most insurance companies do not cover the contents of the car.
No.
Like, if you've got, because I said something to my insurance agent, and I was like, well, I carry my MacBook and I carry this and that and the other. And, is that covered if something happens, you have the car catches on fire or something like that? And he's like, no.
Is
And
there
I went,
supplemental
"Do what?"
insurance you can get for that?
Not through anyone that I've found. Maybe some of the newer companies that's out there. I'm
So
with
you're
an
telling me-
older insurance company.
A well-established insurance company.
They're horrible. I want to change insurance companies so bad. And I know y'all are saying, why don't you do it? There's a long story behind it. And I don't want to talk about it. It's a bad situation.
Yeah,
So,
I was around for part of that. It's not fun.
boy, and they constantly try to get out of it. I've had, I think, two claims in the last 10 years. Both of them, they tried to get out of.
I remember one of them was your roof came off.
My
Roof came off your house.
My roof came off, completely off the house. And they looked at me and said, well, that's just an old house settling. And I looked at them and I said, I'm about to settle you right here in the front yard is what's going to happen.
So, just for a little bit of visual aid, I guess you could call it, the roof was missing.
Yeah, it was gone.
from the back of the house, and there was a huge indention on the front.
You could see daylight from the inside.
It amazes
And they
me.
said that it was the house settling.
That's ridiculous.
I hate them. And then the other time was similar situation. We had a microburst, and it actually the air got in between the walls and pushed the sheetrock and stuff loose.
I was there when that happened.
You could push the walls with one hand and move the sheetrock.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, I've never seen anything like this. What we're going to do is we're going to take all this sheetrock off the wall and we're going to straighten it. And then we're going to put it back on the wall. And I was like, I was like,
It's just so ridiculous.
I was like, well, what about the painting? Well, we'll touch it back up. We'll make it look good. And I was like, is that safe? And they go, yeah, we do it all the time. And I'm like, okay, so hang on. You pay to remove the sheetrock, straighten the sheetrock, and put the sheetrock back on the wall. Why don't you just go buy new sheetrock instead of straightening it?
Yeah, it would have been
And he
easier
says,
and cheaper.
well, you can do that if you want to. Okay, on the claim that they didn't want to pay because the house was settling but the roof was gone, it was like pulling our teeth to get them to pay for this.
Yeah.
On the other one where it blew the sheetrock loose and they were going to straighten it, dude, they paid me 3 times what it cost to re-sheetrock the entire house. I had the entire house re-sheetrocked, painted, fireproof sheetrock, 5/8 inch fireproof sheetrock through the whole house for what they were going to pay to straighten the sheetrock.
Some people just don't think. Some people just don't think.
Must be good to be an adjuster.
So I was doing some research real quick on what we were talking about earlier with the contents of your car not being covered. No insurance offers content coverage. No. insurance.
Really?
Nope. Your car insurance extends to things that are permanently attached to the car, CD player. That's the main thing they said was electronic equipment that's permanently installed in the car, like third party.
Yeah.
They said that some content may be covered. For example, luggage when you're traveling may be covered. But your everyday stuff, your laptop, your cell phone, your iPod, your CDs,
You're just out of luck.
you're
then.
out of luck. There's no coverage. And they said that a good portion of companies that actually have insurance on their service trucks
Right.
don't use commercial coverage. They use personal coverage. So at least commercial coverage
That's a big
offers-
no-no because commercial coverage does offer some content coverage.
They were talking specifically about construction companies with tools and that sort of thing that are stored inside the truck all the time.
Right.
They said that's considered part of their truck. It's part of the
Right.
whole package. So that would have been covered if they'd used commercial coverage. Now it's more expensive.
Yeah, but it's so worth it. I mean, we have commercial coverage on everything that we own, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So insurance just annoys me. So
Insurance is such a big expense too.
God, so much money. I mean, if you took the money you paid insurance and just sunk it in a bank account, you could just about pay your own disasters.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so stupid. So we had a customer talking. Let's go back to business side of things for a minute. We had
We
a
were talking
customer.
about business. We were talking about service trucks.
Well, that's true. We were talking about take food trucks. So we had a customer who called us several times over little stuff, like little bitty stuff, T90 stuff.
Yeah.
And we, up until this recently, if you were a corporate customer, you automatically got 7-day terms. And the reason you got 7-day terms or 15-day terms, whatever we decided to give you, was a lot of times, you'd run into, well, Susie prints the checks and she ain't here right now, but you can wait around for about an hour. She got to lunch. She'll get you a check.
Yeah, but then I'd have to charge you for an additional hour
Right.
of waiting around for her to get back to print your check.
So, or you could come back later and get a check.
Yeah, but then I'd have to make a second trip.
Okay. So we now have gone to we need payment when we're there.
Right.
Most companies have a company credit card that you can charge. And I will tell you, when I called a plumber, when Jonathan Caldwell, one of our wonderful employees, clogged one of our facilities,
Jonathan, we love you. Really, we
we
do.
do. God, those ears. So, anyway, hey, if you want to see his picture, go to favegeek.com and click on Meet the Geeks.
Yep.
He's the one with the ears that look like a taxi with all four doors flooded
That's
open.
terrible. Keep,
So,
please finish telling your
I
embarrassing
love you,
story.
Jonathan. So I called the plumber out because our landlord's cheap.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
And so I called them out, and they were like, "Well, that toilet's like 40 years old." And I was like, "Well, it's what we got. I'm sorry."
Their excuse was, "Oh, it's not clogged; it's just really old."
And here's the thing: they were like, they tried to explain it to me, like, "Well, that's a 3-gallon flush, and those are old, and now you got the high economy 1 gallon," and they're talking plumber term. I don't know. I mean, I know the difference between 1 gallon and 3 gallon. It's 2 gallons.
See, that's whenever you just turn around and start saying, Windows 7 64-bit requires a 64-bit processor, and if you use an x86 processor, or an x386 or an x686,
And you
they're
watch
not-
their head just go poof
Yeah.
and gone. So anyway, they
And then you look at them and you say, see, I can do that crap too. Now tell me what the heck's going on.
rant. So anyway, when they were done, they immediately required payment.
Right.
Whether it was out of the cash register or whatever else. And we used to tell contractors, and we still do whenever we get the opportunity, we say, "Oh, everything comes from corporate, and we'll cut you a check. Leave the bill, and we'll cut you a check."
Yep.
And that works with some people.
And then others
and then
are
others
more
are like,
insistent.
we kind of need payment today.
Yeah.
And we used to be that, okay, we can have, just we'll send you a bill. But this one company called us over and 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 over again over little bitty stuff.
It wasn't even the stuff that got me. What got me was the fact they wouldn't accept the fact that it was their fault.
Right.
It was things that they were doing that was breaking the systems.
So they call in for service, and I'm like, let me go look that up. And I'll look it up, and they've never paid a bill.
Yeah. And there's several.
Never paid a bill. They were
Several
like
that have been sent.
$400 behind or something. I mean, it was substantial.
To put that into perspective, that's 6 trips out there.
And so I was like, okay, well, you need to tell them that you can come fix it today, but you have to be paid on these past invoices.
Right.
And they kind of freaked out a little.
Yep. Well, they started making excuses.
On the phone, they were like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we can take care of that. And then you got there and they started making excuses. Well, my printer's been broke.
Mm-hmm. You were supposed to fix my printer, was what she said. And I told her that I did. It had been working since 3 weeks prior or something like that.
I mean, she had plenty of time to print checks and everything else. But the point being, we made them pay all those past invoices.
Before I did work.
And we told them that we would let them write on this last one that they could just send us a check because they didn't have the money. We've not seen that money, and they've not called.
Yep.
I firmly believe that if we had continued, that we would have just never seen any money, and they would have continued to call.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like poor housekeeping on our part, and
it is.
It really is. I mean, we should have been on top of that. But we have gone to you pay us when we're out here.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody does it. I don't know why we have felt for 15 years that we need to be different.
Well,
we need to build people.
Here's the thing. Back in the day, back when this company was started, you didn't have mobile credit card readers, so you couldn't accept credit card payments. So that meant that you had to entrust a technician that you may not fully trust with cash.
To take cash.
Or checks.
Right. And, technicians are...
Don't get me wrong, our technicians are great.
Typically, they are completely...
But if they spend 6 hours on site and they're riding around with $300 of cash
or more,
and they need that money,
here I got a story for that though. So I had a technician who shall remain nameless, and may actually listen to the show. So, but will remain nameless.
Did I ever meet this technician? Because I think I know this story.
Maybe. So anyway, the technician, great technician, do anything I want him to do anything that I ask him to do, always on time, always, just good employee all the way around. And one day I noticed on my gas card statement that there's a different code. Like there's, L1, L3, L1, L3, L2, D1. And I was like, D? What is that for? And it was like $50-something. I was like, what? There's no way any of my vans hold $50 worth of fuel.
Hang on one second. Hang on. What are these codes designating?
I have no idea. So I called the bank company and I was like,
so you don't know what these L1s, L2s, Ds, whatever, but it's just idea. One D or two Ds in a sea of L's is what you're saying. Okay.
Right. And I'm sorry, it was UL.
Well, it doesn't matter.
So I called the company and they were like, oh, UL is for unleaded.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, and 3 is the region that it was purchased in.
Mm-hmm. So D must have been diesel.
And I was like, what's D? And they were like, diesel. And I was like, I don't have anything that runs on diesel. Nothing. And they were like, well, I'm sorry, you've got, a charge for diesel fuel.
Right.
And I was thinking, $50 in diesel. what in the world is $50 worth of diesel fuel doing on my charge card account?
Yeah.
So
because
I
I'm thinking to myself right now, like, okay, I don't have any vehicles that run on diesel. Why would somebody fill a container full of $50 worth of diesel?
Yeah, and it was even worse than that for me because I was like, I don't even know anybody with a tractor. So I started doing my research. I figured out that it's diesel fuel, and I figured out that it's a lot more money than any of my vehicles would hold. And I got to asking around, and this employee was like, yeah, I did it. And I said, oh, yeah, straight up admitted it.
He just owned up to it?
Owned up to it. I mean, that was great. The fact that he owned up to it was great.
Well, did he think there was anything wrong with it?
Nope, not at all. And
that's why he owned up to it. He wasn't trying to hide it because he thought it was fine.
He owned up to it, and apparently, his wife had gotten a job in another city, and she drove a diesel Suburban. Big, because they had they had like 40 kids. And
oh Lord,
great guy. To this day, if he called, I'd take his call. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. It was a bad time, and mistakes were made. Things happen, but he owned up to it, and he was like, "Yeah, I filled her truck up." And I said, "You can't do that. That's a company credit card." And he's like, "Well, how else was she supposed to get to work?" That silence was priceless. The silence that you had was absolutely, your eyes got big and you were like, mouth dropped open and nothing come out. I expected like a small child to be like, "Bark." It was awful.
How else do you expect you pay for her fuel out of your money, not my money,
but
not the business.
But now here's what I don't understand. He felt as though he was entitled to more money than the company could afford to pay him, so he had no choice but to do it.
No, see, he contradicted himself right there. He felt like he was owed more money, so he had to.
He could have made more money doing something else. I will say that.
But that doesn't matter. I mean, that's
you still
what he
steal from a company.
What he was doing was essentially taking money out of the register.
Yeah, he was stealing.
And would he do that? Was that okay?
No, I don't know. I mean, where do you draw the line?
Where do you draw the line?
It's stealing.
So wait,
stealing.
Did you fire him over this?
I did, and it was ugly. Ugly. Because here's what happens. In the state of Alabama, the unemployment division, or whatever you want to call them, they ask why they got fired.
You mean for unemployment payments?
For unemployment payment. They want to know, why did you terminate this? Why was this employee terminated?
I would assume that's because Alabama's an at-will work state. You can't just... You can essentially say, I don't like you today. You're fired.
Right. And if you walk up to someone and say, I don't really like the way you look today, you're fired.
Yeah.
Then they're going to give them unemployment because they got, basically chopped for
no good reason.
No real good reason.
So they called you up and they asked
they sent
why.
me the form and they like, why was this employee terminated? And you answered honestly. And they turned down the unemployment. It wasn't my goal to, keep him from having it, but I'm also not going to lie to a government agency about why you were terminated.
Is this true or not? Do we actually, as a company, have to pay unemployment?
Yes.
So he would have been taking even more money from the company.
Well, okay. So essentially the way unemployment works is you pay a percentage. Like you pay a percentage of whatever they make. Mm-hmm. So that in the event that they are terminated, the government can decide how much money they pay them, and then they pay them out of what you've paid them already.
Out of what you paid the government.
Right. So technically it's not like the government comes back to you and says, well, they qualified for unemployment. You fired them, but we're still going to need $300 or $400 a week to take care of them.
No, I get that. You've already paid the money. It's already in some bank account somewhere waiting for them to get chopped, essentially.
Right.
But what that form does is, let's say that there was a sudden downsizing. We lost a stream of revenue or whatever. And
It's happened.
And we have to get rid of employees for the company to stay afloat. That form comes in. Why did you let these employees go? We had to downsize. They're going to get unemployment payments.
Right. Well, and it's happened, in 2007 when the economy tanked and we had, 6 employees and had to let 4 of them go. All 4 of them got unemployment, and I didn't battle it. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was just like,
but that comes back to
circumstances happened.
That comes back to Diesel Suburban Guy. You
I like the way you gave it a name.
Well, that's his name. We'll call him DS. DS. Diesel Suburban.
The adults and the adults just laughed at that.
Well,
I
left off one of the letters, so it's fine. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Next.
But you answered the form honestly for this guy. Why did you let him go? He stole
from the company.
Well, did you put he stole from the company, or did you put he charged?
I put employee made unauthorized charges on company credit card and did not reimburse the company when asked to.
So there you go.
So I didn't say, hey, this guy stole from me.
But
I just simply said, hey, he made some charges and he didn't pay him back, and that's what happened. And I mean, I'm not going to lie about it. It's
right.
And he was.
There's no reason to lie.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. He was upset at the time, and I don't blame him. I would be too. That I just basically. I mean, I didn't give him an option. I was just like, "Well, we're done." And then he felt like I had stood in the way of his unemployment. And later, he's come around and he's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he understands that I didn't do it vindictively. I didn't do it as a hate thing. Like, I didn't do it because I didn't like him. But, that brings up another very valid point. I love all my employees. Mm-hmm. Wish I could give them so much more than I do.
Right.
And there are employees that most of our employees could go somewhere else and make more money. Mm-hmm. But they choose to stay because of, the work environment and some of the benefits that they get that we won't go into. But, it's kind of almost like shooting yourself in the foot. You're over here going, man, I wish I made more money. But you're filtering money off of the company, using the company credit card for things you're not supposed to and things like that. If the company's not making more money because they're having to pay this bill for you that they don't know they're paying, how can they afford the pay raise?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the struggle of small business, is being able to keep good employees paid to the point that they don't want to leave. Because a small business struggles with finances most times. Mm-hmm. Every small business. I mean, we work, I'd say 80% of our businesses are small businesses that we do work for, and almost every one of them struggle financially.
Right.
I mean, to the point of either having, part-time employees or, sharing employees with other companies. And I mean, it's just, where's that balance? I mean, the being able to make enough money to pay the employees what you feel like they're worth is hard.
Getting money to pay employees is hard, period. Not even getting to the point of paying them what you think they're worth or what they think they're worth. God forbid. I remember years ago we had an employee that we're going to get into HR problems real quick. We had an employee that your father had just been admitted to the hospital. It was right before they caught the lung cancer in him, and he had always done all of the yard work for the business. You remember?
Right.
And you looked at this employee and you said, I need you to mow the yard.
Oh, yeah. And he looked at me and he said, what are you going to pay me? And I'm like, I pay you now.
And
And
said,
he goes, no, my mama pays me to mow the yard.
my mama pays me $20 to mow the yard. You going to pay me $20?
And I'm like, I'm going to pay you with a knot upside your head. But guess what? We are all out of time. Thankfully, we are all out of time. If you have found the contents of this show encouraging or enlightening, then I would encourage you to follow us on Twitter at The Purple Tyco. Head on over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Purple Tie. Look us up online, www.thepurpletie.org. All of our contact information is over there. What are you doing this week? Turn your purple tie.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, y'all.